Hello everybody, my name is CoolBlue, and we are bringing you guys yet another interview. This is going to be CasNet Interview, number 30 if I'm not mistaken, and this is going to be another re-interview. So we had one re-interview with Vanessa. This time we're having a re-interview with DragonDrop if I'm not mistaken, and DragonDrop, people are saying things. People are saying hi. Would you like to go ahead and say hi to all the beautiful people out there?
Hello to all the beautiful people out there. You're definitely much better, much more prepared than CoolBlue was in this interview, I'm pretty damn sure.
Hey, we don't talk about the pre-show. What happens in the pre-show stays in the pre-show.
People have a right to know, dude. Right to know.
Sorry, I got fired. I'm sorry. Okay. Alright. Shenanigans aside, trying to get this somewhat semi-serious. Dragon, you are a commentator, a caster. We've interviewed you before, but we are gonna go over some redundant questions just to remind ourselves about who you are and, what you've done since then. And we're just gonna check up on you. So, would you like to go ahead and just introduce yourself? Like, what you do in real life, what you do for schooling, what you do professionally for Dota, or just in general things about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's DragonDrop. My real name is Clemens. Don't like to use that around the interwebs, just because, well, hardly anyone can ever pronounce it correctly. I feel like, but yeah. I'm doing an apprenticeship right now as an IT tech for system integration. I work at a company that does X-ray software and systems, so it's pretty damn cool. So essentially, we sell X-ray detectors and generators, and yeah, we also make software that goes with that archives the images, so you can store them properly, and also software that acquires the images. It's pretty damn cool.
So basically, you do like system integration. So you're doing the background server stuff that people don't get to look at.
Yeah, mostly preparing the PCs that we ship out to people, so they can actually do the X-raying and do the archiving and yeah, just looking at the pictures to yeah, to find out what's wrong with people essentially.
So basically, it pays a lot of money and it sounds really boring.
It's not paying a lot of money right now because it's an internship, but I get by.
There you go.
It's
there you go.
not an internship, like an apprenticeship. So I'm like halfway through now.
Right.
Year thing. So.
But there's definitely some staying power in that because system integration in general, it's like you can apply it to anything. Oh man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not fair. Basically hacking the system. How dare you? Alright, so moving away from all your school stuff and real life stuff, where'd you get the name DragonDrop from? Because I forgot. I don't remember what the story was. Could you go ahead and let us know where'd you get this name DragonDrop?
Maybe you should have reviewed that last interview. But I can reiterate on that. It wasn't actually my first name going online. First name was kind of boring, Hero. So at some point I did hear a podcast that was about the digital underground, so to speak, like the people in the scene that's were running about and doing the cracks of new software, new movies, and stuff like that, and how they do it as a sport, more or less. So always wanting to be the first, doing it as a competition. So and that podcast was half documentary and it was half like role play, where they were basically acting out ISE chat scenes. One of these guys in those scenes was called DragonDrop, and I thought it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool pun with drag and drop and then dragons. So,
nice.
Yeah, when it came to coming to Dota and coming to the other scenes, I could use that name instead of my old name because I wasn't attached to it. Just by history, so to speak.
Yeah, no, of course. Hero is like super informative of who you are.
I mean, the thing is, if you're in a community and you have a certain name and you've been with that name for like years at times, then you want to change it. People are not gonna let you, right?
So
people are not gonna let you.
So pick a name, stick with it. You better be happy with it for the rest of your life. Fun fact: my original username was Skippy, but I changed it to CoolBlue. I know that's
Skippy now.
That's the same laugh I got before. So CoolBlue sounds way cooler. I agree. Anyway, but yes, all right. So I'm glad you went through the same growing pains that we all did as far as picking our online name, because it's one of the first important decisions that you make before you go online. And speaking of
Yeah,
first important
you don't
decisions,
even know it's that important, right?
yeah, you don't know it's
Most of
important
the
until you
time.
become famous. And speaking of becoming famous, you do video game stuff. We're gonna talk about you and your commentary. We're gonna talk about how you have grown since then. So we're getting ready to get into some of the new stuff, but we want some more background on you first. For all the people out there who don't want to go watch interview number 12, I think is what we have you in. If anybody doesn't want to go back and watch that, could you go ahead and just let us know how you got into video games and how you got into Dota? So just like the natural transition from one to the other.
All right. Getting into video games, actually, at a quite a young age, was just were a bunch of friends in my where I lived.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we just played a game called Gothic, which was a role-playing game made by a German company, which was pretty damn cool. So I spent a lot of time playing that and the successors of that game, and also spending a lot of time in the online community there, which was just a fan fiction forum essentially for like a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, I kind of made a website, like the things that you do when you're young and just into computers, not much else to do out there where I lived, which was kind of a remote village.
Mm-hmm.
Not much else to do, so I was spending a lot of time with the PC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, through some odds and ends, I came to another game where I spent like 5-6 years playing it. I'm actually growing as a person quite a lot, but outside of that, where I started to get into Dota was a little bit disconnected from that because I was just watching some TV ads actually for PlanetSide, so I decided to get into that. At some point, there was this big event, the what do you call it, like some sort of event.
Yeah.
That they did, some live event with Total Biscuit, like representing one of the factions there.
Oh, nice. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's how I actually found out about Total Biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
Followed his stuff, found it pretty cool, and at some point he had this series going, the Dota 2 Single Draft Disaster.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So,
Oh god,
yeah.
it's so bad.
It was really bad, right? I didn't know at the time, but the thing is, I watched that for a while, and at some point I just said, all right, if he can have fun with this game, I mean, it can't be too bad, right? I mean, I might as well try it out myself. So I downloaded it, played my first game, and actually won it, which was kind of fun. And I stuck with it since then.
Alright, so you've been you sticking with the game ever since Total Biscuit kind of got you interested in the game, and then here you are, a few years later, doing some Dota stuff, becoming a commentator, and just doing, living the baller life essentially, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, awesome. Okay, so we did say that we are going to just give everybody a little bit of history. If you want to find out more about DragonDrop and his early startings, go ahead and either listen to some of the rest of this, because we're going to touch on that, or go watch the other interview for more insights as far as DragonDrop's background. Because I'm a little bit more interested right now in how you've grown since last time we talked with you. So, when you first started, if I recall correctly, we were all just basically kind of just starting, getting our feet wet. You've been casting for like 3 months or something like that, and that's my assumption from what happened last time. So from that stage of not really doing anything outside of JDL to where you are now, where you're basically, you're casting some pseudo semi-big things for JDL and maybe even get into co-cast with some of the big names out there. How has things switched over? Like has it been an easy growth for you, or has it been not as expansive or impressive as you thought it would be?
Honestly, I still think that I'm super lucky and I have no idea how I actually got to where I am right now. It's kind of the main thing that I can always come back to when I really think about this, right? So it all started with me casting JDL, and Capitalist was actually coming into the lobby. He was like, hey guys, give me your stream links. And yeah, apparently he listened in, he liked it, he tweeted it out. I had like 50 viewers, which at that point was like, what? Guys, at the same time, like, what? Yeah. A couple of days later, he then recruited me to the Join Dota community group, like the community casters group, it was called at the time. So just casting on a Join Dota community stream. And ever since then, I've kind of been in contact with them. I mean, this idea of community casters, in that sense, has kind of faded out. But right now, I'm one of the contractors that Join Dota comes to if they have extra games to cover. So that's why I've been casting a lot of tournaments here and there, a lot of D2CL, a lot of We Play nowadays. And every once in a while, you get these pretty cool things like like the biggest event
Mm-hmm.
that I casted completely was the what was it called, the OK Dota 2 Cup.
Uh-huh.
That was a Singaporean LAN. Toby was there in person. It was like $50,000 prize pool.
Oh,
I was
nice.
hosting Dota Blue stream there. It was pretty cool. At
Mm-hmm.
some point when they were in games on the mainstream, I think they hosted me, or Toby just sent them there. It was like 27,000 people at one time watching me.
No
In the
pressure.
rupture at the time, no pressure at all. It's kind of amazing how I was able to hold it together, because at that time it was, I believe, the second day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually get to sleep much before the first day, so the first day was like 36 hours or so awake. So I was actually amazed that I could hold it together that long, but yeah. And during that event also, just Toby gave me a shout out on stream as well,
Mm-hmm.
which made me feel quite good.
Nice, nice. So,
I mean,
you've been inducted. You've been inducted into the pseudo pro caster scene, essentially. Is that correct?
it's kind of a step beyond, I think.
Nice.
A
Oh,
step
oh,
beyond
oh, whoa.
the main scene, a step
Uh-huh.
or two. Right. I mean, it's casting all the games that are in the background, right? That are not the highest profile all
Mhm.
of the time. But every once in a while, you actually get to that spot as well.
Mhm.
Like the biggest game that I ever casted was actually only a couple of weeks ago. That was a D2L match, D2CL, D2L. No,
Mhm.
wait, was a Dota Pit. It was Dota Pit.
Oh, okay, nice.
I think Durka or someone was supposed to cast it, but then he got sick or couldn't take it. So I took over and had rivals co-casting, and that was a Navi game.
Ooh.
So you can imagine how
Yeah.
popular that was. There was like 33,000 at the peak that I saw. That was amazing.
Jeez. Yeah,
A
yeah.
clip, a clip of
Mhm.
that even ended up on the Navi YouTube, I think.
Nice. Okay, so you're basically your voice basically exists in other facets on the YouTubes. So basically,
Yep.
you're basically official.
Uh, uh, a fish? What? I'm not a fish.
You- What? Whoa, whoa, sir. I'm gonna need you to relax. I'm gonna need you to calm down. Okay.
What? Bloop, bloop. I'm not a fish? No.
Oh gosh.
What
All right, so moving on to the next few parts. So like I said, I gave you the list of questions that we have, but we're not gonna really follow it too much. So I'm gonna try to adapt the questions. Oh.
I already forgot about it.
Correct. Okay. I'm gonna go and follow through with the next question, which is, okay. So you've made it enough to where people have heard your voice. You've heard your share of criticisms. We're gonna talk a lot about the community because that's what I always end up doing. So if you guys aren't aware, I always try to focus on the community because I think it's important, especially for commentators and casters. So from your perspective, I think either I was chatting with you or I was talking with you on Skype, and I was like, yeah, oh man, you're famous and stuff. Like, yeah, well, I have like, the hate threads are abundant, but I don't think I'm that big yet. So speaking specifically on that, criticisms that you receive, not necessarily just the hate threads, also the positive things, maybe some of the positive things you might have heard from other commentators, other viewers. How has everything been from your perspective now versus when you first started? Like I'm pretty sure you get a lot of extra criticisms nowadays because people know who you are.
Actually, the point that I was making to you on Skype was that I didn't get any hate threads just yet. So that's.
Come on, Reddit, get on it. DragonDrop was involved in Shanghai. He was basically perfect world. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I guess the difference is that people in the scene that I haven't directly had contact with just yet also start hearing about me. Like Zayori, I think Annie knows him. Knows him a bit. So Zayori actually hung in and listened to one of our casts together, like me and Annie.
Oh, nice.
And he gave me some feedback on that as well, which was super useful.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of that, all I really get is the occasional Twitch chat line that I saw, which is not all that useful, right? Either it's a guy that has no idea how casting works and just is negative for negativity's sake, just classic Twitch chat, or else it's just, hey, I had fun, I enjoyed the cast, which is also super nice to hear, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to entertain people, right? I want to make people enjoy the games as much as I enjoy them. So, and that's pretty good. Yeah, but in terms of real
Mhm.
criticism that I can use, there's actually not a lot that you don't have to seek out yourself.
Okay. So pretty much, what you're saying is that you receive the occasional comments in Twitch, but you're not at the level just yet, the level of notoriety to where everybody's making like 4 or 5 threads every time you post a VOD or something, every time you cast an
Yeah,
event.
yeah,
But you are at the stage where every little bit helps, and you can actually go back and maybe get some criticism from people like Zora, maybe even get some criticism from capitalists, and say, okay, all right, these are what the people who are up there are kind of saying about me. Maybe I can adjust this. So you're getting like a useful middle ground right now.
yeah, yeah. It's that, and also just reflecting on your own cast. Right? I'm at a point where I'm not always up on top of it, and I know it.
Mm-hmm.
So in some casts, I'm just like, all right, I know that was my best cast. What can I do to make it better next time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's mostly just focus, mostly just not thinking too much,
Mm-hmm.
and like I've identified a few things that I still have struggled with sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching the map, especially when I'm talking and trying to make a point. Just keep watching the map. It's like one of these observer slash production things that I sometimes forget about when I try to talk about the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And these kind of things, right? I know some errors that I still have to work on, and that's useful enough for me now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I mean, it's useless just moving on to other things when you haven't gotten these basics, like if you haven't figured these out to a point where you can do them in your sleep. If you know what I mean?
So you're working on building the solid fundamentals while you still have the time to do so. So that way, when the fame blows up, then everybody's like, okay, all right, at least he's solid on the fundamentals. We can't critique him on that one, but we still will because Reddit. No offense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I want to take a step back from all the serious community stuff or pseudo-serious community stuff and talk about the picture that we have for you. Could you please tell the story behind this picture, because this is probably one of the most dramatic pictures I've ever used for a CasNet interview.
Yeah, it's actually that came out as a result of the team that I'm in, like the main of the Standard Deviant Stats crew.
Mm.
Right? No? Oh wow, you've been out of it.
I know.
You've been out of it. But yeah, Standard Deviant's pretty much a group of stats people. They're just trying to promote the in-game stats and stats brand and stuff like that for everyone in the scene. So I've been making use of that, and they're a pretty cool bunch of people. Also play in houses and stuff like that every once in a while and stack regularly. So it's just a lot of fun to play with, and a couple of these guys, they were already in the team, so then a couple more made a secondary team. It's the STD meme squad. So we're all about the memes, essentially, and someone had the idea, okay, let's just make Twitch emotes, like just make mock Twitch emotes as for our squad roster picture, right? So I was doing Drop Rage for that.
So Drop Rage is this is the result of Drop Rage, and I must say it seems like it's one of the dankest of memes. So good job.
It's pretty cool. It's also on Better Twitch TV as an emote now. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, people have to add that to their channel. Then everyone who uses Better Twitch TV can see that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not quite a sub thing just yet, but hey.
It didn't work for me. Okay, it doesn't work. It's broken. Twitch is broken. It doesn't work.
Yeah. You have to add to your channel and beat Better Twitch TV, and then.
Yeah, no. I will probably set up sometime in the future just so I can drop that whenever I cast. Just like, oh guys, look at me, I'm so cool. Yeah. Alright.
And
so,
blue.
And blue. Oh yes, I'm cool and blue. That is correct. But see, when you throw copy at the end, it just makes you feel bad inside as a person. Thanks, Dragon. Gosh. Alright, moving over to the next section because Dragon made me feel bad. We're going to the quick response section, and Dragon, do you know the rules on this very, very, very important and complicated section?
I've dreaded this moment. I'm really not quick with words sometimes, but hey.
But question, do you know the rules? I'm not sure if you got the point. Like this is very intense, very serious. If you don't do this right, You will be persecuted by nature of rares.
That doesn't make any sense. But
I know.
I think the rules are that I have to answer quickly without really thinking much the first
Like,
thing.
okay, Dragon, just because you work in integrated systems doesn't mean you know everything. Look, okay, the rules are really complicated. I'm gonna tell you exactly how it works. You answer it quickly, okay?
Just said that.
That's not the point. You answer quickly. Are you sure you understand? You're laughing too much. You make me think you're not serious. Dragon, this is dire. Not radiant. This is dire. Come on, man. Are you ready?
Just
Are you ready for? Are you sure you're ready?
just go.
Okay. Alright.
I'm not gonna stop laughing anytime soon, so might as well just keep going.
So your favorite hero?
See, this is where it starts. Let's say Ogre Magi.
Favorite item set?
Item sets. Like the Broken Stallion from Centaur, I think.
Favorite team?
It's pretty cool. Liquid.
Favorite caster?
Probably Syndron.
Favorite event?
Yeah. Favorite events? Tier 5 so far. Or Tier 3, it's kind of toss up.
Favorite meme? Besides your own.
Favorite meme? Oh, god damn it. There's so many memes. So hard. It's really, really hard. Let's just say... I immediately regret my decision. It's kind of a meme, right?
Not like this.
Chat will meme.
Alright, favorite color. Favorite color.
Red.
Favorite number.
7.
Favorite book.
Favorite book. I don't know what's called in English. It's one fantasy book from a German author. Yeah.
What's the name of it?
I don't know.
Come on, say it in
It's been
German.
a while since I read it, actually.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And
I know
favorite
what it's about, but I don't know the name anymore.
favorite TV show.
Stargate.
Favorite movie.
Favorite movie? Recently The Internship, actually.
Oh, which one?
The Internship.
Okay. And last but
It's-
not least, the
yeah.
most important question of all: favorite Dota 2 event that is not TI or Shanghai Major.
Yes. Easy. SL1 Frankfurt.
ESL1 Frankfurt.
Yeah. 2014, 2015, doesn't matter.
Okay, nice. All right.
They're live in person, so hey. I'm a bit biased, but hey, that's the point of it, isn't it?
And that's basically it. So we're done. We made it through it. You follow the rules kinda, and Twitch chat lets you have it as I should. I mean, just you're fired, man. You're fired, man. I'm sorry. You're fired.
Alright.
All right.
Well, goodbye.
No. Okay.
Just
this-
disconnect right now.
No, we have 9
You're not
questions
gonna be
left.
serious
Why would you
about
do this? Why you do this? All right. So moving
Yeah,
back into
that's
more.
the same question that I would ask you if you would ever answer.
All right, moving back on to more serious things because we got to put on our serious community building Dota 2 people hats, or sorry, commentator hats. Not Dota 2. It's not restricted. Actually, for you it's restricted. Whatever. So we're moving back into the goal or into the topic of the community. And the next question I want to ask you is, from your perspective, do you think the community has improved since you first started, or do you think it's kind of going, more or less status quo, downward slope, sort of, or status quo type thing, or is it becoming better, I guess?
The thing is, the first question you're gonna ask, how do you define the community? Right, this-
Yes, and just to specify or just clarify, the community. When I say community, I'm referring to the combination of what we see when games are being commentated, what we see when games are being reacted to, and what we see in the threads in places like Reddit or Join Dota.
So, Reddit, Twitter, Twitch chat, in-game chat?
Correct.
Alright. Most of that, I mean, the problem is, a lot of people are actually decent.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, a lot of people, few people, I guess, are really malicious.
Mhm.
Then there's those that just hop on the bandwagon either way. Right? For the most part, that results into the really shitty people leading the charge, being super negative, being just abhorrent for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's some people who just don't know any better, who just are too quick and maybe too lazy to judge themselves to get all the information on certain things, and then jump to conclusions, and then hop on the bandwagon with the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, it's not a good place. Right? You gotta have a thick skin. You've always had to have a thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I can't really say if it got worse. If so, then marginally, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it really depends on how many, on how closely you actually watch and follow the scene.
Right.
I mean, like me, when I go on Reddit, I only go for the images in frontline, in the front page, like
Mhm.
looking at the gifs and whatnot. They're kind of funny.
Nice.
I've given up on actually reading anything, any of the comments, and every thread that you post,
Mm-hmm.
every thread that there is,
Mm-hmm.
the first comment is always gonna be a shitty one that doesn't contribute anything. That's just there to mock the guy that made the thread, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's always gonna be the case. So what's the point even reading it?
Correct. And so basically, in a sense, you're saying it's there are the very few, very few people who are kind of leading the bad charge. Oh, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you cut out for a second there.
Oh, my bad. All right. So what you're saying is that there are the very few, like the very small number of people who are leading the negative charge, and a lot of people are finding it easy to just bandwagon on that, or just assume that this happened because this person's complaining about this. This obviously happened, or as somebody's saying in the chat, people are bandwagoning saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't like this caster," and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, me neither," and it's like not creating a good environment.
Yeah, I can't believe that so many people are genuinely, I don't want to say evil, but that are generally so negative. That's that than what we see right now. It's mostly just some people, the vocal minorities, we like to call them, leading the charge, and a lot of people just finding it easy to hop on the bandwagon to just try and have some sense of belonging to something. Right? That's what it all comes down to. Is that's kind of the human condition, if you will.
Correct. And as fine. I mean, I would personally. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, my stance on the community is that we can always do better. Like that's gonna always be the thing. Even if we're doing better, I'm gonna always say we can do better. But I agree with.
We should do better. We should do better, actually. Especially when, I mean, you brought up in a pre-show a little bit. We talked to Vanessa about women in gaming. That's a topic that has been discussed a couple of weeks ago in much detail. It's still being discussed every once in a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one of the examples where you look at a lot of people that are, once again, vocal minority, genuinely being hateful, genuinely harassing because they, I don't know, because they get a kick out of it. Then there's those, even in that particular topic, then there's some people that even don't know that they're being shitty, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's people talking about females on Dota, right? That's where it starts for some people already. I mean, we've had a good discussion in the Standard Event Discord during that time. And then Lamadan Under was one of the ones who brought up the point, hey, even just saying female Dota, it's like so marginalizing already.
Yeah.
Because you don't say male Dota. You know?
Correct.
Right? You know what I mean? You're just reducing women, just reducing persons to their gender, essentially.
Correct. I mean, and this is
which is where it starts, right? And a lot of people don't even realize that.
I mean, it becomes a really slippery slope to talk about because I mean, for one thing, talking about it perpetuating it a little bit, sure, but fine. I can acknowledge, yes, talking about it a lot is going to make it happen more, whatever. But I think if we try to avoid it, it's going to cause a bigger issue. So that's why I always like to talk about it if it ever comes up. But from my perspective, it's always the thing of I think me and Yam and Dota were talking about this, where it's kind of like. It's kind of like it's easier for people to just kind of jump on the bandwagon, like you said, and just like get the easy upvote just by posting a quick meme and saying a negative thing. When in reality, they kind of forget the fact that they're talking about an actual person, and it's like it gets worse, and like Ripper said in the chat, it gets worse and worse with each event, because people say, oh, this meme is funny last time, so let's go ahead and put in a snip in here when we're talking about Zyora. It's like, okay, well, do you even know where they came from? And then most people say, no, I don't know where they came from. Or if we say give Dire Tide, we're in such a generation of Dota to where there's probably a ton of people who don't know where the heck give Dire Tide came from. So yeah, memes are great and all, but some people find it easier to mention those instead of mentioning actual useful things. And I said this once before, and I think it's totally true. Yeah, 322 is one too. But I said this once before, but I'll say it again. It's like if we just spend more time putting effort, or sorry, put more mindset into the critiques we give people as opposed to the memes, then we might be a better place. But that's just me.
I would definitely agree with that. Just think about what you say before you say it, and then already a lot of problems are being solved, because then you ask yourself, all right, why am I saying it? Who am I saying it to?
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by saying that, and do they deserve it? Right?
Correct. And it's becoming increasingly. I mean, my stance is always gonna be the same thing. Fine, you guys, whoever watches all the interviews, my stance is always the same. We can do better. I keep repeating that because I know what my bias is, so I'm always gonna have the biased opinion of that. But it becomes a little bit more closer to home when I actually get to sit down and talk with people like Renessa. I get to sit down and talk with Llama Down Under. I get to talk with Annie, and we just talk about all the time the same thing, and it's like we have the same conversation over and over. And I'm talking with you. You're not even a female Dota person, but I mean, it's like, for God's sakes, you know it exists. Everybody knows it exists.
I've worked with Llama, I've worked with Annie, and honestly, with the kind of shit that's been spewed at them, like they tell me about it every once in a while. So I know. I want to say I know what it's like for them, but I know what they go through, but I really don't know how it feels like.
Yeah.
Right? In that sense, I feel super lucky, in a sense, but at the same time, I feel so much respect for them for putting up with that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would have the strength to keep going when there's death threats.
Oh yeah, correct.
Doxing coming at me. I wouldn't know how to react to that. I mean, it's one thing to have people tell you that you're a shitty caster in Twitch chat, or Hitbox chat, or whatever. That's one thing. People telling you, hey, I know where you live, or like, I want to come and raid your house, or whatever.
Right.
That's a whole different ballgame. Right, to a point where where you don't necessarily know whether they would or would not even do that if they had the chance. And this is where it can bleed into the real world, and where it can become actually dangerous. It has become dangerous in the past for people, not necessarily in Dota, but elsewhere on the internet.
Yeah,
and
correct.
That's a problem that's not really restricted to Dota, right? It's
that's a video game community wide not for some reason, because video games that's a whole different discussion. But just to expand the conversation from the female in Dota type mentality we're talking about, or female in gaming society.
Woman in Dota.
Woman in Dota. Sorry.
I was making the point earlier.
My bad. I'm saying it's convenient. It's a little bit more convenient for me to say female. I understand. There's negative connotations for both, whatever. But my thing is no, seriously. I'm saying that from my perspective, because it's a little bit simpler for me to say female, because more people feel less triggered by that one. A little bit less. Anyway, but that's not the point. The point I was trying to bring up was that expanding this back into a thing of just other things in general. Of course, the females in Dota, or women in Dota thing is very specific, very directed towards women in Dota, or females in the gamer community. But of course, it does expand to other things. Like if you're a small-time caster, put in a ton of different work, and then somebody just comes by and says all your work is crap, uninstall and delete your accounts. It's like, why would you do that? Why do you do that?
Well, for me, the thing that I tell myself when I see that every once in a while, I mean, what I tell myself is probably true, right? I mean, is there any reason that their opinion counts for more than for the opinion of not only the ones that are just silently watching, or the ones that actually come out to chat themselves at the end of the cast and say, hey, I enjoyed it, thanks for casting. Right? Is there any reason that the opinion of this guy who's coming in to troll you worth more than the opinion of all these other guys?
Hmm.
And my answer to that is no. There's no reason whatsoever. Unless there's some valid critique, where you can look back at your own cast and say, yeah, he's actually right. He might not have phrased it properly. He might be an asshole. But maybe, it's just maybe, every once in a while, once in a blue moon, cool blue moon, if you will.
Nice.
Someone will say, yeah, that was really shitty. You suck. And then, if they actually have a point somewhere there, you can always react to it. And if you react to it in a proper way, then sometimes people will realize, hey, that guy is a human. That guy is actually nice. The guy's trying to improve. So, and then they drop that actor, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's the thing. A lot of people do that only to a point where they think that the cast is this untouchable person, right?
Yeah,
that guy
like a talking head. Yeah,
exactly. The guy who's never gonna
give you up. I'm sorry.
Respond, right? The guy who's never gonna even acknowledge that you exist, right? At one point, I had a really long pause in the game. I was kind of idly tapping my arrow keys. Didn't even realize that some people would be bothered by that. So I got a tweet which was kind of angrily worded. Then I said, all right, I realized, okay, hey, didn't we realize that was an issue? So I said, yeah, sorry, won't do it again. And then next couple of tweets were, all right, what was that? Yeah, the next couple of tweets were a lot more calmer in nature. Right? They weren't confrontational. While just saying, all right, yeah, I understand. And the rest of the cast was pretty good, though. I enjoyed it. Right. Some people you just gotta get through to. Right. Some people you just gotta tap, and then they realize, okay, this is actually not just some bots on the internet. I mean, it's a long-winded way of saying it, but that's where my view comes from. That a lot of people aren't actually that malicious; they're just doing it out of habit almost sometimes.
No, yeah, and I totally understand. I mean, just to take my perspective, like just to shift it over to mention it in a different way, just in case it helps people digest what was said. So basically, it's like my perspective of doing this whole interview series. One of the goals I had was to interview Shiver and Purge. It was like my two main goals. If I can interview those two people, I'll be very happy. Of course, I also want to promote everybody else, but that's like one of my goals. So I got the chance to interview Shiver, and like it was literally like one of the strangest situations for me ever, because I was like, I was like, hey Shiver, you're in the Join Dota stuff. Would you like to interview? She's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like freaking out. But then like 2 minutes into the interview, I'm like, okay, she's just a normal person. I'm just talking to Shiver. That's everything's cool. The fanboy inside of me is like screaming like a little girl, but that's not the point. No offense, ladies, but that's not the point. Come on, guys. Jeez, stop being so sensitive. Come on, jeez. We're talking about sensitive topics. I know, but
Make it very hard.
I know. I can't say stop being so sensitive in that context. I apologize. Whatever. But I was talking to Shiver, and like it was at that moment that I was like, okay, Shiver's just a normal live streamer. She's just a person who does stuff. But beforehand, when I first asked her the question, I'm like, not necessarily sweating bullets or anything, but I'm just like, should I send it? Should I not send it? Do I have to send somebody else? Should I just PM her directly, or do I add her first? And it's like 1,000 things going through my mind. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, this is probably going to go horribly wrong. And then she finally says yes, and I figure out she's not that impossible to reach. She's actually relatively responsive, and it's kind of scary. So,
the thing is, you won't know that until you actually try and talk to them. Right? I mean, might very well be that they don't have time, or they don't really give a damn. I mean, most of the guys that are in the Dota scene right now on the top spots, I want to say, are there because they're so passionate about everything. Yeah. And also the guys that are reaching out to them, right? This is still like the first or second generation in some cases of casters that are. I don't think they're too far removed from the community and from their roots, essentially, that they forgot what it's like, more or less, right? If you know what I mean. So, yeah, it's as you said, they're still normal people, right? You just gotta find that out for yourself, because you don't really know it beforehand. Right? You don't know who they are.
Yeah, right? Correct.
That's my point, right?
I mean, it's still a stranger, but it's not like he's like a god or anything. It's just a stranger.
Even though you see them so often on a big screen, you can get the feeling that you know them a bit, right? You know what they're like.
Oh, I see, okay.
But that's not always the case. Right? If you look at Toby, he's always like hopping about, like super hype on stream, because that's his job, right? I'm not saying he's an asshole in the background.
No.
By all means, he isn't. But he's a lot more serious, right? This is the flip side of Toby. He's very, very super friendly, but he's very serious about his work in the backlines. Right, whenever there's something going wrong in a tournament, he's the first one to say to the admins, like, hey, can we do this better? Right, he's the first one who says, all right, can we push the game up a little bit as this game that we had right now ended early, so maybe we can get the next one pushed up a bit, so we have a seamless broadcast, don't have an hour break between, right?
Yeah, correct.
He's so serious and so committed to every single game that he casts. It doesn't really matter if it's on a big major or a smaller tournament. And yeah, that's a side that you don't necessarily see of him if you're just watching him. Right? That's the side that I see sometimes when we work on the same tournament.
Yeah, correct. And like, just to once again echo off of that, just to provide more context, I think my own personal interaction with Toby, which has never been direct, so just like, you know, the one day goal, whatever. But my personal interaction with Toby is like, you know, as a commentator, I like Toby's hype, I like Toby's information he provides. He's like kind of like a nice mix. He's like almost like he's a joint Dota version of LD for me personally. That's me as a person who enjoys Dota content and likes to consume content. So that's how I look at Toby. So, you know, whenever Toby's in the commentary, I'm expecting, you know, some jokes and some derpiness and some hype stuff and then some extra information. So I'm like all happy. I'm like perfectly in tune person. But then I went back and watched Toffee's, because Toffee's did his whole little challenge thing where he had, you know, different people come in and he will talk about topics in the community, and then we get points based on things. And like, you know, I see Toby's like, oh my gosh, Toby's here. It's gonna be like super derpy, super hype. But like Toby was like quiet for like the whole thing, and when he talked about things, it was like, oh shit, he made a really good point. And then he just kind of went back and chilled. So I saw that serious side in those little small off moments where he kind of had to think about things, and it was a little bit like night and day with Toby. It was like really strange.
Yeah, that's how when you realize that they're actually super good at what they do. Because what you put on screen is a persona at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously a lot of who you are is bleeding into that. But at the same time, you're still creating an image of yourself, how you want to be seen.
Correct, and some people incorrectly attach to that image, and they assume they know everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's true for everyone who's up on the screen, who's up in the limelight. I want to say.
Which you'll be there soon, right?
Hopefully, yeah. If we get the chance.
All right. Alright, speaking of getting chance, it's going to bring us to our next topic. There's another thing that Llama and I talked about in our interview. One thing that she mentioned that I've kind of been walking with since the day she said it, because I will just give some context for Cool Blue, just for anybody who's watching the interview. Yes, I do think, or quick background. I've been casting for quite a while. That's all you really need to know. And I haven't really made it huge in the scene or anything. So, you know, when I go by and see people like Shiver, see people like Llama get bigger, see people like hell, capitalists get bigger, I'm like, you know, what the hell? Like, they have been doing stuff for that long, but then they're suddenly like the biggest thing in the world. So, you know, I get a little salty every once in a while about those situations. So, long story short, when I interviewed Llama, I didn't have any negative intentions. I didn't have anything bad, but, you know, I just kind of went in thinking like, you know, okay, Llama has been casting for that long. I'm gonna ask her a few questions about community, her perspective, how she got to where she got, so we can get some advice, and, you know, just be helpful overall. You know, my saltiness aside about some of the situations that she may have, some opportunities she may have gotten that I didn't. So, you know, we were talking about the community stuff, and it eventually came up, you know, how is coming to the scene fast? Like, do you think coming to the scene fast is bad or good? And I was kind of expecting her to say, you know, it wasn't as good as she wanted it to be, but it's not like super horrible. So, you know, just like the middle ground answer, because I wasn't expecting it to be terrible, because she's still relevant. And her response was like, it kind of threw me off guard, because she was like, you don't get to choose when you become big and famous in the Dota land. And I was like, holy crap, she's right. You don't get to choose. You can do this for 5 years and never make it, but you can definitely start casting today and become super famous, so you don't get to choose. So all of that context was necessary for me to tell you, or actually the set up for this question was, the question is, do you think that is a proper, true statement that you don't get to choose? And what is your general intake on that whole entire background that I gave you? So it's like, with the whole you don't get to choose situation, what is your perspective of that? Do you think that people do get to choose, or do you think it's more like you have to kind of put in the work, or do you think it's just kind of random chance lottery?
I think when it comes to Dota casting, people get to choose what they do, what they aim for, but they don't get to choose if and when they will get there, and what kind of detours they will take on the way. Right? So it's all well and good if you can set out to cast just for fun, or maybe if you set out to cast to make it big. But I would absolutely agree with Llama where you don't get to choose when you will actually find a spotlight, or when the spotlight will come to you. Right? I mean, you can definitely actually watch the interview with Llama. So she said something along the lines of, you can put in a lot of hard work to kind of tip the odds in your favor a little bit, that you get discovered at some point, and there's definitely some truth to that, right? You can grind it out.
Yeah. And
this also goes back to something that Capitalist said like 3-4 years ago on a podcast, or also an interview show back then with Dariev, I believe. Dariev and Toffees.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Toffees, yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. He said to make it you need 3 things, or 2 out of 3 things at the very least. That's 1, talent, 2, good luck, 3, hard work. Right? Any 2 of the things, ideally all 3. And then you can make it, right? And the luck part for me has been there to an extent, right? Just Capitalist coming in and liking what I do. So I guess there's a little bit of talent as well. Don't want to toot my own horn, but
just because I'm popular now, so I'm kind of good at this, guys.
I mean, I really don't know whether I have enough talents inherent in me to actually make it further, but every once in a while I ask myself, all right, do I actually have it in me? And then I come back to my position as a joint Dota contractor, right? And I was going to say, and I always tell myself, kind of jokingly every once in a while, all right, if I was bad, then they would have kicked me a long time ago.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So can't be that bad.
No,
it's kind of a bit of morale booster. So
yeah, they saw something in you, right?
Yeah.
Hey, now that I said that, it sounds kind of negative. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. All right.
I mean, I still have that. I still have a YouTube clip bookmarked where Toby and Cap were casting a game. It was like a long pause and wasting some time.
I remember you showed me that. I remember that. Go ahead. Keep telling.
So they were like talking about all things that aren't Dota that have Shadow in the name. Right. So I was tweeting them. Yeah, Dazzle is actually the Shadow Priest. And they were checking Twitter and they were like, "Oh yeah, Shadow Priest, of course." And then Toby was like, "Yeah, shout out to." He tried to pronounce my real name and he butchered it horribly. He said DragonDrop Dota, and then Cap was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. I enjoyed his stuff. I enjoyed his cast." And I have that bookmark. It's kind of a confidence boost whenever I need it. Just knowing that someone who you respect, right, who you look up to. As one of the biggest guys right now on the scene, one of the most professional,
right,
most talented, and also most hardworking people on the team. Like, Capitalist has, it's kind of the whole package, if you want.
Right.
And to know that he enjoyed something that you did was that he thinks that you had potential. I mean, he was sort of recruiting me then. I think it was I think that was even before he recruited me or just after. I don't know. It was in a similar kind of time frame, right? It's just a big confidence boost.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, just hearing those words from somebody you look up to is like, oh, that DragonDrop guy is actually doing well. That kind of negates all the 1,000, maybe 5,000 negative things you might hear on Twitter, Twitch.
It does mean a lot. It does mean so much more than anything. I mean, no offense to all the Twitch viewers right now. I mean, I said it before. Whenever someone says, "Hey, I enjoyed your casting,"
It's like it's great, right? That's what I do. That's why I do it, right? I cast stuff for myself, but also to bring some enjoyment to other people. To lighten up the day a little bit, if you will, even to a small extent.
Right.
So I still like hearing that, but hearing that you can, hearing something like that from someone who, someone like Capitalist, it just is on a whole different level.
It's like DragonDrop is doing it. Yeah. Secret to fall. I'm sorry. the memes are real right now. Okay, all right. Sorry. I broke your serious moment. My bad. Wrecked.
I was waffling on anyway.
322. No. All right. So speaking of memes, I actually want to talk about memes. This is probably our last serious topic before we get out to the outro stuff. So sorry, we're
serious topic. Yeah.
Memes are a serious topic. Memes are a serious topic. It's important to talk about. I mean, just come on. Without memes, you don't have a community. Come on. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of memes, though, one of the things that I wanted to bring up was we're kind of talking about. You know, you doing something, somebody critiquing you, somebody higher up, maybe approaching you in like a good way, somebody lower down approaching you in a good way, and like the different weight that you feel in those two things. So right now, for anybody who doesn't know, just for context in the future, the Shanghai Majors are going on, and there's a few things that aren't going as well as everybody wants them to, but one of the biggest things that happened was that 2GD, Too Good, he actually got escorted away from the event in a not so positive fashion. So I just wanted to actually, because this kind of fits within the context of what we're talking about, I just want to ask you well, first let me send you the whole entire message with my name in it for some reason, because somebody was being a jerk about it. But I was going to send you the entire message, and my question to you is, like, do you kind of see this in the same light where like somebody like Gaben is coming out and saying, hey, on a professional level, we don't want to work with this guy, we don't want to work with this person, and we're going to say this, and then, you know, maybe say another message at the end saying, you know, we're not going to work with this person. So from that perspective of, like, somebody who is in the system, somebody who is up there, relatively speaking, and somebody who is popular and prominent, hearing something like this and kind of blowing up around the community, you know, all people's different opinions aside, all the memes aside, do you think this is still something that kind of fits into the realm of, like, this is a critique from Gaben saying he doesn't want this in his thing, or Valve saying they don't want this in their thing, so they're kind of shooing him away from the majors. And like I said, this is kind of isolated but is related because it's relevant right now, so just go ahead and provide me what little resemblance of thought you can on what I just said.
It's a very nebulous question. So is there anything specific?
Yes, okay. So I will try to reiterate, or I'll try to rephrase that so I can be more specific. So the thing I want to ask you is that from your perspective as a caster, do you think that the approach was good or bad? And do you think that overall the words said were good or bad? And when I say overall words, I mean the grand scheme of things. Because everybody knows 2GD for shenanigans. But do you think this was like warranted, or do you think this is kind of like a bad thing to do?
Well, Valve have always been very bad at communicating. And at the red, so they have been a lot of practice, right? So maybe in that sense you have to cut them some slack, but it's very rare indeed that Gaben comes out and says something like that. So yeah, of course. I mean, I don't really think that the wording was all that good, wasn't all that professional, wasn't all that distant as it should be. And the whole situation in general is just something that Valve themselves kind of got themselves into.
Oh, good point.
Of course, we don't quite know how it came to the decision who made the decision to hire him, and who was against it, who had reservations or whatnot. But they should have all known that's what they got.
Yeah.
And if not, they should have just told him what they wanted from Too Good. Because I do believe that James is professional enough that if they tell him to just keep it down, to just get a specific kind of style, then he should be able to bring it to the table, right? And I mean, of course, if you haven't read James's post, his dossier,
I did not read book 1 or book 2, unfortunately.
So he did say, he actually posted some screenshots from Skype chat with Ice Frog himself, who said, "Hey, yeah, just be yourself." So I don't know what was going on with Valve, maybe some miscommunication internally, I don't know, but they kind of messed up that whole situation. Right?
Okay. Right, and the relevancy that this has with our conversation, not just like the whole critique from higher up to like where you are and colleagues critiquing colleagues or anything, but the perspective I want to take this from as well is wait, hold on, yeah, sorry, that perspective of this is Too Good style. Like Too Good style is basically him kind of doing a few too many shenanigans, maybe drinking a little bit, maybe having a little bit of fun, but kind of breaking it up, and people expect that from him. So do you think it was kind of like a hit on, if you do this style of thing, then you're not going to ever make it into the Dota scene? Or do you think it's more of a hit on, we just don't like him personally?
I think for Valve it's about the style. Maybe it clashes with what they... I mean, it had to clash with what they wanted from the tournament, wanted from the host position. And the biggest thing is, I've read an article about that where that's actually talking about that disconnect between what the community wants and what Valve wants, which is pretty much not normally the case. Right, Valve is doing whatever's best for the bottom line, and as a result for the community, right? Because hey, who's spending all the money on item sets?
Correct.
Right? It's the community. So normally Valve's decisions are in favor of what people want. And I think the community was pretty damn clear that for the most part everyone enjoyed Too Good shenanigans there. Even though I mean, he's been walking the line, of course.
Yeah,
he
of course.
Has. That's his style.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe put a toe across it every once in a while.
just dabble a little bit in the dark juices. There you go. Yeah. But no, yeah.
Yeah. Once again, Valve kind of messed it up. And the decision in general was kind of contrary to what we expected to see from him, which is why it pretty much caught everyone by surprise. Absolutely everyone.
As far as how it all kind of came out, like the public message and the whole "I'm leaving, the cops are kind of here, and we're gonna walk out" and that kind of thing.
So.
And then by the way, the Shanghai Major is just falling apart. By the way, at the same exact time, that was a coincidence.
Well, there's a lot of extra issues that have been there for a long time, just in conjunction with Chinese culture and the history with Dota events.
Yeah.
A huge shout out to them. I mean, obviously not all Chinese are like laissez-faire like that. The production crew from Mars TV that they brought in, I don't know, they must have been working like double and triple shifts to actually get everything working. I mean, I was watching the broadcast earlier and it was what you would expect from a top tier Dota broadcast. So I think they ironed out all the quirks by now, which is pretty damn awesome.
Nice.
So, shout out to them, shout out to everyone there who has been working ass off to kind of salvage this and actually get us good final rounds, couple of final rounds. I forgot the point that I want to make.
Yeah, you were making the point of coincidence, bad things happening at the same time, but for the most part, Too Good was what the community expected. Yeah.
So I think him being fired is a sign from Valve that they have a different vision for what for Dota in general, and that if you want to go down that route, if you want to go too casual, maybe like too laissez-faire, too walking the line too much, you're probably not gonna be invited to Valve events.
Ooh.
Of course, that's just my opinion because I really have no idea whether there's actually a lot of personal squabbles going on.
Correct.
Between Valve and James, particularly, that led to this decision. Maybe there was some bad blood beforehand already. I mean, I kind of got the feeling that there may have been. Then again, I don't know anything. Right? This is actually something that a lot of people should remember as well, that they don't actually know anything.
Correct. But like in the grand scheme of things, from the context of even just that one post I sent you that has my name in it very conveniently, but even in that post that I sent you, it just kind of says like, some Valve people lobbied to bring him back. So basically, people in Valve were like, hey, it's a good idea, the community wants this, whereas maybe upper management was like, okay, we'll give him one strike and then it's out. If it messes up, crosses the line, it's out. And that's kind of, to me, from my perspective, that seems like that's what happened. And I haven't read his book 1, book 2 thing. I haven't seen his perspective, but I'm assuming there was some sort of negotiation beforehand that things wouldn't go too out of hand, and maybe his his version of the line was a little bit further out than Valve's version of the line, maybe.
No, the thing is, he didn't get any directions as opposed to what he should and shouldn't do. Right? He was told to just be himself. And this comes down to Valve's structure as a company, with a very, very flat hierarchy. They don't really have upper management as most other companies have. So, and it's at the same time where they stand out, which gives them also gives them a lot of flexibility and a lot of
good point.
unique ways of approaching things. But also, this particular instance kind of bites them in the ass, because how do you present yourself in a PR fashion, like a public relations kind of way?
Yeah.
When you don't actually have any ways of shaping a common opinion as a company.
Correct. And like the expectation. The expectation from the community is like you become an unreliable source of your own information.
Yeah.
Right. So one last thing we're gonna talk about before we get to the outro stuff is professionalism in Dota. This will be the last serious topic. I know I said the other one's gonna be the last one, but professionalism was another topic. Professionalism in Dota. You just said, we were just talking about it, basically Valve's kind of drawing a line of this, we want you to be more professional than this. Do you think professionalism is something that's going to be important? Because just preference, from my perspective, I think it's very important for us to be wanting to be treated as professionals. We got to start acting as professionals, but that's my own personal opinion. My opinion is not the absolutes, and we need variety. But all that aside, do you think professionalism going forward is going to be super important for the whole community as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be of vital importance, actually, because, I mean, let me just start with shedding some light on the other side of the people that say, hey, yeah, we like our memes, we like our juicy in-jokes and whatever. And that's all fine and good, right? Obviously, they get a lot of enjoyment out of that, and I understand that. I mean, I too like memes every once in a while, a good meme every once in a while. I do like a casual cast every once in a while. Just watching that, having fun with all these things that make the community, right? Everything that defines a Dota fan, right here and right now. But the flip side is, we want to grow, right? I want the scene to grow, right? I want esports to grow in general. I want Dota to grow in particular. And the only thing to do that, obviously, is to get more people in, right? And if you have a culture where all you do is battle on memes and in-jokes that we understand and find funny, but that no one else is gonna know what to do with, and misunderstand, right? That's kind of the worst part about that, right? If you spout something that's funny for you and for everyone else in the scene, but it just makes other people say, "What the hell are they talking about? I don't want to get into this because it's so freaking abhorrent and so weird what they're saying," then just gonna deter people. That's not something that we can afford, and it's not something that we should actually encourage, because we're not only denying the scene the growth, we're also denying these other people the chance to experience the esports scene in general. Which is something super amazing, super awesome right now, which is just getting larger and larger with some of these bigger companies even. They also start to realize that, right? You see MTG investing in ESL, you see ESPN launching the ESPN of esports, like literally, launching that website and getting into it and starting to get things on TV, getting things out to a broader audience.
Yeah, definitely.
I think this is something that we shouldn't really deny the wider world just by having a culture that is so exclusive because of sticking to all these memes, all these in-jokes that make it so inaccessible for everyone on the outside.
Correct, and what makes it worse is like if you walk into a room when everybody's doing a really strange thing and you want to belong, then you're gonna start doing the strange thing too. And in reference to memes that should probably die but haven't, like snip snip, it just makes it worse. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about way early in this whole entire interview, right?
Yeah.
The new people showing
absolutely
up,
right.
just bandwagoning. Oh man, it's a mess. It's a mess. We
Man,
got
yeah.
this.
New people either do what you do, and either they kind of do the research and find out where it's coming from, or just do it for the sake for doing it, or they just leave because it's too weird, because it's too hard to actually get into.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we talked about community. We've talked about a ton. Professionalism. I want to talk about that more with more people, but we will move on for the sake of ending this interview soon because I actually have to go to a thing soon. So, Dragon, question.
Answer.
Have you read the question yet? Like question number 12. Have you read that? Like don't read it out loud. Just read it.
Any of this? I've not read any of this.
Read question number 12. Read question number 12 before I read it. Don't read out loud. Don't read out loud.
I want to call you out again. Holy shit.
No, okay. For anybody who's wondering, I haven't changed the questions all the way. So since aside from playing League of Legends, what do you do for fun? My bad. Sorry, Dragon.
Just once again comes back to what I told you at the beginning of the quiz show. This is something to prepare beforehand.
Professionalism requires me to do it right before we start. Come on. We've established production value needs to be upheld by 20%. This is my 20%.
You are the reason you can't have nicer things. Just saying.
Am I fired?
You are. Lucky for you, can't fire you from your own show.
Hey, you know, 2 years into the future, when people go back and watch this, like, what the heck are they talking about? Alright.
They shall never know.
Oh,
Probably
man.
for the best.
Alright. So focusing on the serious things again, sorry. Aside from playing Dota, what do you do for fun?
Pretty much doing what everyone else does, right? I'm just watching shows, watching movies, playing other games. Like right now, playing a lot of XCOM again. The long war mod for Enemy Within. Because I don't want to spend a lot of money on XCOM 2 just yet, as it's the full price game. I'd just rather wait until it gets a little bit cheaper later down the line. Because I've already dumped a lot of money on a full price game for the first time in forever recently.
Whoa, hold on. Dota didn't break the bank already with all the rares?
No, I'm actually very conservative. I'm not actually buying a lot of items. What I buy is all the compendiums for the most part when they're good.
Yeah. And
then I also every once in a while I sell a bunch of stuff that I don't use on the Steam market, and when I get enough credit, I buy a chest or something. Right?
Yes, but in the case of XCOM, which you've invested money in, you're getting your darn play value out of that one, aren't you?
Yeah, I picked that up on sale at some point, and with Long War, it's actually much better. I mean, the normal game is like 20-30 hours or so. Long War just drags that out so much more.
Really?
To the point where even the developers said, "Hey, yeah, our game's essentially a 20-hour tutorial for Long War." It's absolutely true. I mean, it's much harder. It's much more varied. There's much more depth to it. And it's a lot of fun.
And question for you in XCOM, specifically for you in XCOM. This is a side question.
Okay.
Are you the type of player where if your person dies, they stay dead, or do you reload and try to save them?
No, I reload.
There you go. Okay, I high five. Yeah. No man left behind, or woman,
I mean,
or
there's
alien.
a lot, there's probably a lot of people who won't say anything against it. They must say, "You play however you want. I play however I want. It's a single-player game."
Yeah.
I play it as I enjoy it. That means it's coming, then you have to handle it. Right? I play to slay aliens, not to and solve the puzzles with a couple of retries. Right?
Yeah. Just refresh it and go. I mean, because the first go through is always a test run.
Yeah. It's don't want to play it to just be frustrating.
No, because if I want to do that, just play Dota.
Why would exactly?
Oh, shots fired. All right. Go back to the next question. What other games? Oh, we talked about what other games. Do you have any interesting talents that you would like to tell the internet? Any interesting talents?
No.
Oh, come on, you have to have something. I feel like you told me no last time, but you came up with like 20 different things. It's like,
What?
you told me no last time, but you came up like for 30, 40 different things.
I'm pretty sure I didn't say anything last time.
Come on, talents can you breathe? Can you drink water? Can you swim? Can you live? Can you even?
I'm very good at not dying. Yes,
You're very good at not dying.
that is true.
So far, you have a record going for you. Keep that streak up. Keep that living streak up. It's pretty important.
Yeah. 23 years and counting.
There you go. Heck yeah.
Almost 24. Holy shit. Let me know.
Alright, so living is good, remembering is bad. Alright, so it's getting a little shaky. You need to shape that up, man.
I think I'm just gonna start using letters instead of numbers.
It's like
When I don't turn 24, I turn 23A.
what is this, Dota patches?
Yeah. Like,
Oh man. Okay. Alright, do you have any shoutouts that you would like to make before we end everything here?
shout out to Dota, continuing to give me a chance to cause some awesome games. Shout out to Standard Deviant crew, all the people that are hanging around there, that are a lot of fun to play with every once in a while, because solo queue is the worst, I found out. I like to stack whenever I can. There's a lot of people who would like to play with regularly, so shout out to all of you. Yeah.
And shout out to Mom, shout out to Pet, shout out to
Shout
Refrigerator.
Shout out to all my co-casters, especially Annie and Ted. I've been casting a lot with mod packs. Mario Burrows every once in a while when he's forced to cast with me, because I'm jumping in for Durka or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And side note, not to say that I have any added on Twitter, but she's totally casting right now with Ted, so it's like really weird that you said that.
Yeah. Why would it be weird?
It's weird because like you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I scroll down Twitter, it's like, oh look, hey, she just said, hey guys, we're casting a game now, and it's both Annie and Ted. It's really weird.
Yeah, some casters actually cast games.
What? No, casters know each other. What is this?
Crazy.
What?
Yeah.
I thought casters were like godlike figures that don't talk to people and don't eat food.
Oh, I do eat food. I eat too much food. It's kind of my one problem that I have. I like
Right.
eating.
Conversation derailed already. Alright. Outro. Final outro. Do you have any final goodbyes that you would like to say out to all the beautiful people out there?
Goodbye, farewell, and don't let the door hit you on the way out.
And where can people find you if they really want to see the rest of your stuff? Sorry, I did that backwards, but just go with it.
God damn it! God damn it, Cooler!
The Dota hit us on our way out. I'm sorry.
It's actually fine because now we've come full circle, and I'm about to facepalm again. I'm about to be not like this, but right now I'm still drop rage.
Nice. The photo. That's your face right now.
Yeah. Literally.
Alright, so where can people find you if they want to? Because we see all these beautiful links, but just verbally so you can tell everybody.
Mostly Twitter. It's kind of the best way to keep up with everything I do. So, twitter.com/DragonDropDota. And also, I have a tournament coming up like day after tomorrow on Monday. It's on a Monday evening, so that's the Dota 2 Stars Arena. A lot of cool European teams there. Quick little tournament ends at the 14th if everything goes according to schedule, and after that, at the end of the month, already have another tournament lined up. So, yeah, of course, follow me on Twitter. To find out about that.
Alright, and I will go ahead and do the outro since he's already said goodbye, so we can now execute him peacefully.
What?
Yeah, this is part of the interview. Your death, raha. No, this is like all of a sudden, it's like SWAT team comes in and just
I'm doing such a good job just surviving for 23 years.
we got it. Hey, that killing streak or that living streak is a little bit too long. Like, all right. So my name is Cool Blue from CasNet Network. We just watched you guys interview number 30, if I'm not mistaken, with DragonDrop, the one and only DragonDrop. And you guys heard this awesome interview. We talked about a ton of different things, but of course, be on the lookout for more interviews in the future. Go watch DragonDrop's older interview, which I think is interview number 12, if I'm not mistaken. So go check that one out if you want to hear more of his background stuff about his life and when he first started, and you know how he actually has a talent, but he doesn't want to tell us now. And that's it. So hope you guys.
I actually can't remember what I told you there. I'm gonna review that myself.
Alright. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, we will see you guys whenever.